Insane passion.
Oh, would you believe it? A virtuoso strike from Dejan Kulusevski.
Same energy.
Here's Lucas Moura. Oh, they've done it! I cannot believe it!
Same love.
I want to win. I want to win the trophy, to bring success to the team, especially when you are captain and win the trophy.
Same team.
It's just who we are, mate. It's just who we are. It's who we're going to be till as long as I'm here.
Same Old Spurs.
The Same Old Spurs podcast with Majestic and Gazza.
Get behind the boys and up the Spurs.
Well, hello and welcome to the Same Old Spurs podcast with myself, Majestic, alongside
Gazza.
If you are new to the podcast, and welcome to lifelong Spurs friends and fans. And if you've been listening to podcasts over the last 4 or 5 years, we've been threatening to go live on YouTube for a while, haven't we?
It's been a long time coming, mate.
We'll talk about that in a moment's time. But of course, we've got lots to get through during the show tonight, including that 4-1 victory over West Ham on Saturday.
So good to turn off them bubble machines over the West Ham.
The cup final was over. It was over. We're also going to, of course, look forward to the European game on Thursday night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And we're going to be looking to Crystal Palace. They're in a bit of a bad run of form at the moment, aren't they?
Unbelievable.
I know.
Them teams down the bottom.
Glasner. No good. So if you are watching us on YouTube, hello and welcome. Make sure you get involved in the comments. If you're listening to us on the podcast as normal, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Same Old Spurs. Let's get into it. It's Maj and Gaz. It's SOS. That's right, the Same Old Spurs boys in vision on YouTube. Congratulations, Gaz.
Congratulations, sir.
So we've been working hard on this for a while now. Gaz, do you like the setup?
I'll tell you what, it's a high-class backdrop, isn't it?
Should we just give them a little...
Tell you what, you got to look at the number one photo there. Everyone watching there. But
I don't think we can see the big one up there.
The
biggest photo of
picture
here
ever
is Gazza. So maybe at the end of the season we can sign it and give it to someone. So behind us here, we got... This is when I did the charity Spurs game. So you got Ray Winston in there doing the irons. So we'll talk about that later on. And the former West Ham manager there as well, Gaz.
I'll tell you what high-class save Michel Vaughan pulled off in that game for you.
Oh.
That volley there. I thought that was rippling into the back.
If only. So yeah, this is our new SOS HQ, and you are very welcome. We're going to do these as regularly as possible. Of course, sometimes we'll be travelling and whatever else, so it can be difficult. But if you are watching us live right now, please do press subscribe and become part of our YouTube community, our YouTube family, because it will be great to have you guys build this community as we go along.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. As we said, it's been a long time coming, and it's always great to start off the back of a fantastic win at a weekend match.
Absolutely. And we've got a little Romero here, little Sonny, and little Richarlison, and our mascot here, Ducky.
Yeah, Richarlison, he has to do a little bit, otherwise he might just get the out there.
So the duck goes in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, should we have a bit of a catch-up? Because I haven't seen you in a while, have we?
I'll tell you what, mate, you've got a lot going on in your life.
Where do we start? Should we start?
We have to start in Saudi.
Saudi Arabia. Should we start with Saudi?
Start in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, I was in Saudi Arabia for the boxing, the Bivol events, Bebatiev fight, which was...
Madge, from looking from afar, them fight weeks seem to get better and better.
Yeah.
Like the levels go up. Do you know what I mean? The production levels, especially. What Turki Al Sheikh's doing out there is unbelievable.
Unbelievable night of boxing again. And for those that don't know, I DJ there and do a lot of the ring walk stuff.
Yeah.
So I get to be in the mix with all of them. Like I'm in the lift with Bivol. Like you've had a run with.
I've had a run with Bivol before, and Jai Abataya, as you do.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and yeah, it was just a really nice energy out there. Of course, after the back of doing the Wembley show with Anthony Joshua and Dubois, nothing's going to match that energy-wise, because that energy was unreal. You were there. I
don't know, mate. The way these boys are going, they're looking to top it every single time.
But yeah, no, it was great. But you know, the big thing was,
go on, mate.
Busta Rhymes, Missy Elliott and Sierra performed.
Yeah, but because they're obviously, I would say, at the tail end of their career.
Yeah, but they're legends, aren't they?
Of course they are, yeah.
So when you're coming in here, Busta Rhymes doing Break Your Neck. And speaking of Busta Rhymes, Break Your Neck, our own Statman, Will Marriott, if you follow the podcast over a few years, or if you watch me online, he's Will from Beyond Chicago. He nearly had a little run-in with Busta Rhymes.
Did he?
Yeah, telling you.
Well,
Busta Rhymes wanted to give Will a slap. So
what did he do? Ask for a picture?
So basically, I'm a big Busta Rhymes fan. One of the first hip-hop records I ever bought was Busta Rhymes. And yeah, he was like coming out, I've got to get a picture of Busta Rhymes. So I found out where he's going to be. I met his hype man, Spliff, who was really nice. And then we see he's coming. But Will, schoolboy era from Will, bait with his phone out. like, filming. I'm like, what are you doing, bruv? And Buster Rhymes is like, yo, can't you see I'm with my woman, man? He's
a big unit.
He's a big unit
He's
as well.
a big
So,
lump.
yeah, so Will was ready to fight. He was down for it.
I tell you what was great as well there to see we're going to link the Project 365, which we'll get onto in a bit. But you training with all the boys out there, all the security team. You won't want to take a dig off one of them, would you?
Yeah, well, we should talk about Project 365 because I think I'm on
it.
about day 20 now. For those that are following me online on my personal journey, I've dedicated myself to doing 365 days of clean eating and training. And yeah, over in Saudi was amazing because the security guys, and shout out to the Lions Den security, Brendan and all
Shout
the
Lions
guys,
Den.
they invited me to come train with them, and they are big lads.
Units.
Absolute units. I do a bit of boxing, bit of work on in the gym, and yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it felt nice to be supported. And thank you to everyone that's been supporting me. Even today, in the Tesco car park, a lady come up to me, great job on your weight loss journey. So yeah, thank you very much. Interestingly, I went on the scales today because I just got back from Amsterdam. I hadn't even really lost too much weight, but check this out. I lost 6.5 kilograms of body fat.
Unbelievable.
Right, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And I maintained like 3% water. So basically, I'm like retaining water. So today I've been in the sauna drinking loads of water like I'm a boxer.
It's all new to you though as well, isn't it? So
Well,
you know what I mean by that is you're gonna have to. It's gonna take a little bit of time to settle in, find what your body likes, what it dislikes.
In the last 20 days, I've been to Riyadh, Amsterdam twice. Do you know what I mean? It's been mad. But I did. Speaking of Amsterdam, so I was in Amsterdam in the week. And this will be good because we'll come on to this before. We like a catch up before we start the podcast. We was at a friend's wedding on Friday. This is why
indeed, yeah.
I came back to the UK. A good friend of the show, Tom Codd.
Shout out to Tom.
And shout out to Mrs. Codd, Emma.
Mrs. Codd, Emma.
We had a great party at Tom's wedding, and that's why I came back. But you know what it is about weddings? The wedding food in the evening is very easy to get caught, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. You get your hand going and you keep going back, don't you?
Sandwiches galore.
Oh.
Free for all.
High class stuff.
I didn't eat one thing.
Yeah,
I was very proud of
I
myself.
think the mindset shifted with you.
Yeah,
100%. That's a big thing because it's very easy to keep making.
I'm very
excuses.
see me I am Spursy when it comes to diet.
Yeah,
like you're doing really well. You've lost a couple of stones. Like yeah, it's a Chinese all you can eat buffet. so the Spursy nature needs to go. But yeah, the great wedding that was. I jumped on the ones and twos.
Yeah, there was quite a few gun fingers going about, wasn't there? The old school garage crew. We was there.
We enjoyed the gun fingers.
Hopefully there weren't too much footage of me that's out there and doing the gun fingers ones and twos.
There was. What did you make?
MCing and all sorts.
Did you make it a cover band? I thought they were really good, the band.
I thought they were brilliant. I thought the venue was different gravy. I thought it was really, really top night. And a good night to spend with all your friends.
Yeah.
Because like, honestly, you obviously mix in a lot of circles, match.
Yeah.
But it's good to obviously bring it back.
With the OGs.
With all your
like
mates,
with my Ignatian friends. And not just that, like James McManus, Anthony Rollins. So the reason why this all makes sense anyway is because me and Gazza met at St. Ignatius College in year 7, and this is how we became friends. First person I ever went to a European Spurs game with was Gaz. So it all makes sense. It all ties in together nicely. But so yeah, nice to catch up, bring everyone up to speed of what we've been up to. But we've got lots of Spurs things to talk about.
We have indeed, yeah.
So I think we should get into that right now. Don't forget, if you are watching and you're joining us, get involved in the comments. Any questions, please feel free. But it's Madge, it's Gaz, it's YouTube now, it's SOS.
The Same Old Spurs podcast with Majestic and Gazza.
That's right, it's Madge and Gaz, and we've got people already in the chat already. Stephen Reeves said, evening gents, massively overdue this. Thank you. Got to big up the Slim Meister General, Mickey Slim.
Shout out to the governor.
He set up the Project 365, and it had to be done. I'm going to have to give him a shout out. Mr. King himself. Love this, boys.
Yeah.
The gaffer's watching.
There you go.
Gaz's dad's watching. Love that.
Shout out to me.
Do you know what? Spencer Moss is absolutely right as well. He said, where's the coasters? We get some Spurs coasters. If you'd like to send us some Spurs coasters.
I'll tell you what, he says that, Spencer Moss, because he sent me all the coasters, didn't he?
No, he hasn't.
We'll get them back on the show, won't we? Yeah.
He bought Spence, we will.
That's incoming. We'll get
and
them on the show.
Scott Thompson really says, you know, so let's start with the West Ham game, of course. We, at the weekend, 12:30 kickoff. We can't mention the West Ham game first without quickly mentioning the Brighton game because we was off for a couple of weeks preparing all of this. I was in Saudi, as we mentioned. Bad moment.
Tough, yeah.
For Spurs and Ange. Now, it can happen to anyone. We saw it the weekend with Southampton. But that's relegation fodder. You shouldn't be happening at Tottenham Hotspur.
Well, the problem is, Matt, you're hoping season on season that them types of fall-offs in games are not going to exist anymore. You're waiting for who's going to be the manager to buck the trend. Do you know what I mean? The trend being Tottenham still failing and seeing outcomes like that on the football pitch. Very, very disappointed. Made the trip to Brighton.
You were there.
You're there at half-time, Madge. I'm not being funny. You're looking around. You're going, I can't remember the last time we played as good as football as this.
It was good.
The press was fantastic. Everyone knew what they were doing. Everyone knew their roles. But you also, at the same time, turn around to your mate and go, this is Spurs. This game ain't over.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Spursy.
Yeah. But you have to bounce back quick. And we had an international break that was probably not ideal for the club, and Ange especially. Obviously, he wanted to get into him, didn't he?
Yeah, big time.
And he made that known. But when you come back off that international duty, you have to actually get off to a good start in a game. We didn't quite do that as well, did we, against West Ham, mate?
Well, the thing is, if we're looking back at that Brighton game, is for me, the main points were, from Ange's point of view, is, okay, we know about his reluctancy to change things and formations, but his reluctancy to change something in that game, the in-game management, we saw it happen. Yeah. It took him ages to respond. And so I'm looking for a bounce back from that, because that, for me, is not good enough.
I don't mind if you don't mind. Let me just come in there, Madge, on that one, if you don't mind. I do think he's taken a little, just is my personal opinion, a little bit unfair criticism with that. Because at half-time, Tottenham were cruising in that game. Unlike at the weekend, when it was 1-1. Yeah, we were 2-0 up and playing some fantastic football. The problem he has is just the individual errors occur so early in the second half that doesn't really allow him the time to change. Matt, you know in games, it's very rare when Spurs, a team are cruising like that 2-0, where you go, okay, let's make the wholesale changes. Now, you normally give it a little sight at 10, 15 minutes into the second half. But Spurs had self-inflicted problems. Yeah. And we allowed Brighton back into the game match before he even had an opportunity to react and change things. So, I thought that was a little bit interesting. I thought that there was a lot of... I looked at them players after that Brighton game. I looked at Romero as well, Match, like a player that we've spoke about on this podcast and that you've sort of questioned like of late, saying, can Dragusin come in? He's wearing the armband there at Brighton. I'm a big believer centre-halves wearing the armbands. You have to take a lot of responsibility. Old school hat on. Allowed that to happen at the heart of that defence, and I found that disappointing, Match. Yeah,
very disappointing indeed. Lots of people coming in with their questions. We get some of your questions later on during the podcast as well. As we say, you got to rectify those things. It was all doom and gloom for a couple of weeks after that. And we listen, anybody can go and lose at the Amex, but it was the way that we lost, which was no good.
Yeah.
So as you say, we start at the weekend. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go because my son Leo had an 11:30 kickoff. So I watched Leo instead.
Shout out to Leo. How'd he get on?
He won, I think, 9-5, 9-6.
He likes to find the back end, doesn't he, your little
for
boy?
hat-trick.
Yeah.
Hat-trick hero. And now he's scored every goal this season. Every game he's scored in. So he's very pleased with that. He likes his stats, old Leo. So, I made the choice to watch my son play rather than Spurs, especially after the Brighton game. But no, I gave a friend of mine some tickets, so that's all good. But 12:30 kickoff, I don't like the early kickoffs. I just feel sometimes it's hard to get into the game and that. And lo and behold, it happened, didn't it? I was watching the game at the Wormley club, at the clubhouse, and it just was, I think we was on top of them for most of that first half, like usual.
Didn't think there was a lot in the game, Match.
No, there wasn't.
I really didn't.
But I always find at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Jared Bowen always has a good game against us.
Good player.
Very good player.
Very good player.
And he was getting a lot of joy with breaking away and getting past us, and you could feel it was coming, that first goal.
Got some capable players up that top end. Kudus.
Yeah.
Jared Bowen. If you're not at it, that caused some damage against you.
You can get punished by that.
Absolutely.
So, going 1-0 down, especially after the Brighton game, we thought, it's going to be one of them ones. West Ham are back in town, like last season when we was all over them and lost. What did you make of, first of all, the selection? It was the standard back four. The noticeable thing for me was Basuma in.
Yeah.
For
Bentancur.
For Bentancur. And with Sonny being back, it was Son, Solanke and Johnson. I thought probably our strongest team.
I think what the manager's doing at the minute, he's asking questions of the midfielders.
Yes.
He's asking questions for you. And you've only got to look at Basuma, who's notched at the weekend. You're looking at Sarr's impact when he come on. Thought he was very, very good. And then that was a player that was probably you're asking questions of a couple of weeks ago, going, look, his levels have dropped. So that's good. That's good management for me in Ange. He's tweaking in that midfield area. It'll be interesting to see how he moves forward off the back of that. The 2 number 10s didn't quite work at the weekend. But I like what Alan Shearer said on his Match of the Day post. That doesn't mean that James Maddison is going to be sitting out games. It just means that Tottenham have got decent options now off the bench. And if something's not going your way, you try and find a formula to change it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
I thought that worked at the weekend, Match.
I thought again, in looking back to the goal and how it came around, since his return from surgery in the summer, I've been a bit worried about Dougie. Dougie defensively has been a spot that I found there's been sort of people are looking at that and thinking we can get him.
I think that's a great shout, yeah. You looked at it again at the weekend. I saw it at Brighton.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're talking about a player who's so good, and I rate him. I don't think there's too many better left-backs in the Premier League, Match, all round. But you can't keep making the little errors he's making.
Do you know what? It's funny to say that because it's strange because Arsenal, we've said it before, arguably have the 2 best centre-halves in the league.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think they're going to find that out over the next couple of weeks when they lose Saliba for 3 games.
But they've got the 2 best centre-halves in the league, and we think of Arsenal being quite defensively assured.
Yeah.
We've only let 1 goal more in than Arsenal so far. But it feels like ours has been such a calamity. That goes back to what you're saying about those individual errors.
Of course.
Now, if someone has a worldie from outside the box, you can't do anything
Hold
about
your hand
that.
up, yeah.
Yeah, you go, great goal. The way that we've conceded goals against Newcastle, Brighton, even the West Ham goal, poor defending, and just a lack of concentration for that moment in time. Now, who's at fault for that? Is that the system that we're playing, this high line allows, quite nervy pressure when balls are coming into the box, etc., because everyone's had to run back and get into position? Or is it due to the players and the consistency with their sort of individual errors?
I think it's a very, very interesting question and a great question, Madge. But what you have to look at is the type of mistakes that we're making. So if it's a style of play, in my opinion, where you're sort of playing a high line and you're getting cut open in that way, you could probably look at the manager and say, do we need to be playing that way?
Yeah.
But when you're making individual mistakes like we're doing, like Odughi at Brighton, we had 2 stabs at it, just didn't clear his lines. Then you're looking at the weekend, just switched off, allowed Jared Bowen to get round the outside of him way too easily. Do you know what I mean? He's a big lad, Odughi. Get him, use your strength there. Just deal with that situation. Didn't do it. See it too often, Madge. I think players need to take responsibility. Yeah. You're out there, do you know what I mean? You've got to take responsibility. Sometimes it's too easy for people to criticise the manager in situations, in my opinion, when the players need to hold their hand up. You know what I mean? And I think if they can improve on that, that's going to be a good thing for Spurs, isn't it, man?
Well, like you said, it's those individual errors, but they're so big, those errors, that they are costing us football games.
Big time.
And in this league, as we're seeing, and we've seen it ironically at the weekend with Arsenal and their problems with Bournemouth, Man City have set such a high bar for this league that if you lose a game, you let in a goal or 2. It's disaster almost.
Yeah.
It's very strange. It's why football's so reactionary at the moment, and why people are like, this manager out, that manager out. It's because every game is like you lose it. It's like the end of the world. And that's why going 1-0 down to West Ham at home after everything that happened at Brighton, now I think that shows great character from the lads.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing I want to start with, is the character for the comeback. And
we had a sighter, didn't we, Madge?
Yeah.
They had a sighter just before they scored. There was a little warning call.
Yeah, there was, 100%.
You know what I mean? There was one there, and obviously
Vicario, a great save, by the way.
It was.
He's good in those situations.
Yeah.
That's his strength, those saves.
Definitely. Shot stopping, very good.
Yeah, it's very similar to Lloris in some aspects.
I
Lloris
hear what you're saying.
was the king of the stop, but when it came to other parts of his game, especially at the end, it wasn't the best. Yeah. But like you said, the warning signs were there. We weren't getting anything away. I felt like watching the game, I felt that it was one of those things where we're just outside the box all the time, tippy-tappy football, can't penetrate them. They were using the low block as well as
seems to be
breaking.
Every game in football at the minute.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it really does.
It really does seem to be the way of modern football.
It's the way to nullify a high-pressing team.
Yeah.
If there's a high-pressing team playing and you give them 2 banks of 4 to get past, it's going to be very difficult. So that's what was happening, and it takes a bit of magic to get away from that. And there was a bit of magic, and it brings me on nicely to the next thing I want to talk about, is Kulusevski.
Fantastic.
Because that goal came sort of late in the first half, and you want to go into half-time 1-0. Like, you don't want to be waiting around to go, we're back in it now.
Definitely.
So
I think you have to give a lot of credit in the goal initially to Dominic Solanke. That guy works tirelessly off the football. It's mental, really, because I heap praise on him for a lot of the things that he does off the ball.
Yeah.
And it started there in our own half. Little interception, starts the move, frees off Maddison and allows him to travel through the midfield. Plays it out to Kulusevski. Kulusevski comes inside and does the rest, mate.
But again, back to what we were saying in terms of being fast on the break. Sometimes I think we're so slow at like moving the ball. Like just when we come into the final third, the way that we beat teams is when we're quick and there's that in sort of flowing football. And like you said, we did that. James Maddison, brilliant, straight into Kulu. Now Kulu had a lot to do from when he picks up the ball.
It's a typical position I would probably say we see him pick up when he was more being used on the right-hand side, that coming in on that left-hand side and him trying to get his shots away. He had a bit of success in his early time at Tottenham, probably found out a little bit, found it difficult on that right-hand side of when he's been used there. But in that central role, he's playing fantastically. Can the keeper do a little bit better from the shot? Probably. Could ask questions of him. But you've got to ask the questions of the goalkeeper, man. Jeff, what we always keep talking about, you're tapping around the box. Who's going to have a shot? Who's going to unload one?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he's done that, and it went in.
The cliche is you don't shoot, you don't score.
Absolutely.
So he does that, but his feet in the box, the way he's so, for a big man, he's so agile, and he dips his shoulder, he gets inside. Like you said, he's grown into this role centrally. I think we looked at him outright, especially at the start of this season. I just thought he was so nullified out there, wasn't doing anything that was so predictable. I just think now he's unpredictable in that central area. I think because he can go.
He's got a lot of tools in the bag, man.
Yeah.
He's physically strong.
Yeah.
He's got that left foot. He gets his body there. He can get away from people. He's as fit as a fiddle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His work ethic is like second to none, and you have to give a lot of praise to Ange Postecoglou there.
Yeah, that's
really do, because we'll criticise people on the show. If anyone that's watching or listening to this consistently, we will pull up people when it's required. But you have to give him a bit of credit there, Ange.
Yeah.
Because he saw something that the last manager didn't.
Absolutely.
And you know what I mean? He's a top manager.
Well, this is it. Going into the second half now, Kulu's doing really well centrally. You know, Maddison actually was creating a lot of chances, but sometimes in football, it doesn't matter what level it is, because we've been in those games as well ourselves, Gaz.
Yeah.
Sometimes a game isn't for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a game can run away from you, or it might be too tight for the style that you play. That's another thing that I've got to give the manager credit for, because in James Maddison, we know that's a big player, it's a big name. That's his second in command or third in command. He's in the he's in the three, isn't he? Yeah.
The vice captain, him, Romero, him, vice captain.
So to take him off at half time with no injury, that's a brave move from the manager. And even the commentary team are going, is he tactical? Is he injured? Apparently it was tactical, and it was tactical, as you mentioned earlier on. Sarr comes in. Now, Sarr is someone last season in those run of 10 games where we won, we was like near the top of the league. He was fantastic. And I hadn't seen that from him since he went away for the African Cup of Nations. I felt like we'd lost a little bit in him.
Definitely, Madge. You're right in thinking that. He definitely lost a bit.
The guy I saw come on against West Ham was the lad I got really excited about last season. Energetic, intercepting balls in the middle of the park. And more importantly, his ball retention was fantastic. That's been one of my criticisms of him, is like losing the ball in key areas. And he didn't do that when he came on.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Again, it goes back to what I was saying, is about the manager asking questions of players. Because he had a set two, didn't he, for the majority of the time last season. Yeah. Now he's gone down to one. So if you're a midfield player there, Madge, and you're not playing well, you're way down the pecking order. So what are you going to do about it? How can you look at your performance levels and go, look, I need to react here, I need to do a little bit? And he's asked that question of him. And look, as I said, like Basuma, tick, scoring goals. Sarr coming on, like played the through ball for Son, that's an assist. And you're asking for that, ain't you, from your players? And I was really, really happy, mate.
It's interesting because, you look at Maddison, he's not finished a Premier game this season. Spencer Moss has just told us that on YouTube. And the thing is as well, he created the most chances in 45 minutes against West Ham since Anderton in 2003. That's come from Scott Thompson as well on YouTube. Although he's creating the chances, etc., it just felt like he couldn't get into the game, perhaps.
Yeah, look, and Madge, you know what? I think it is, when you're playing with two number 10s, as a game goes on, inevitably, the chances are one of them will be removed.
Yes.
And hooked to make way to change his style and add another sort of natural central midfield player in the thing. If the other number 10 is Kulusevski and the way that he's playing, then you've got a problem, mate. because he's playing so well at the minute. It's really, really hard to pull him off. So I think that James Maddison, he's been withdrawn from a lot of the games this season. I still think he's contributed. Does he need to do a little bit more? Absolutely. Will he be demanding more from himself? Definitely. But this is what it's all about, isn't it? At football clubs, top clubs, like having options.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So I think James Maddison will still be a real key player for us this season.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And then we're going into the second half. As you said, the midfield looks a bit different now, a bit more urgency. Someone who I already criticised was Udogie, and he was absolutely fantastic in that build-up to the goal with Basuma, because he gets down the byline and he has the intellect to pull it back to Basuma.
Yeah, quality little pass from Heung-min Son as well.
Yeah.
Outside the boot.
Outside the boot.
Just gives him there. Nice little turn inside from Udogie. You're expecting your midfielders. Can you take a gamble? Can you get in the box? If you get in the box, there's a chance you can score.
Absolutely.
Took the gamble and put it in, mate. Bit of luck goes through the defender's legs, reels away, and we want to see that, because this is a player that's coming from Brighton. Has he really done enough match in his time? Shown moments, shown glimpses. Has there been a consistent run of form? Probably not. But let's hope we can see it.
I must say though, in terms of football, Antonio, how lazy was he at that goal?
Yeah.
But he's next to Basuma on the edge of the box.
Yeah.
Like, if you are the West Ham manager there and you see allow a player to run in the box like that and score, you'd be fuming.
Yeah,
If that was a Spurs player, you'd go mad.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, look, Antonio, I'm surprised he's still playing at West Ham.
Yeah?
Yeah, I am. Like, I know he goes through the middle there. They brought in a new lad, didn't they? The German. And I think he's been out injured. But you know what you're going to get from Antonio. But I'll tell you one thing, it's just that this West Ham, it's not West Ham podcast, but they all wanted Moyes out, didn't they?
They all did.
all wanted
Be
him
careful
out the
what
door.
you wish for.
They all wanted him out.
Because it got worse for West Ham, didn't it? By goal 3. It was like it was a strange goal, that one.
Bit of ping pong there.
It was a bit of ping pong.
Yeah.
Did they give it to Son or did they give it as an own goal?
I think they gave it to the goalie, didn't they? Areola, I think he ended up with the own goal, 55 minutes gone. Big goal for Spurs in the game.
Yeah.
The third goal was always going to be a big goal. Because
10 minutes into the second half.
you're asking that question again, as we did at Brighton.
Yeah.
This is Spurs. This ain't over.
No.
Third goal was important match, and we got it, and I don't care how they go in there.
No.
In the back end, as long as they end up there.
And then all of a sudden, it's 3-1. The lift around the stadium's massive. And it allows us to talk about our captain.
I thought we also kicked on in that second half match. We really did. We had a lot of chances. You just mentioned him, Heung-min Son, one off the post. And I thought we really done well in that second half, Spurs.
Well, the captain returns. He's obviously been injured. And I think we can all admit that he's not been his best this season still. I think the lack of space that we find ourselves in a lot of the time with Spurs because of the high line, etc., it's difficult for Sonny to do what he does. So to see him be in that position where he's running onto the ball.
Brilliant.
It's a great through ball, by the way, for the fourth goal. Who was
Sarr.
it by? It was Sarr, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was Sarr.
that's what we're saying. Impact.
Sonny, in that situation, there's only one outcome.
So good.
He's so good at it.
During that little break, done him a little bit good
I think
match.
so.
I just think that you're looking at the players that are there. Like we'll talk about Timo Werner, but he's the man. He's the man who's been playing in his position. You know what I mean? The last couple of games, and there's an almighty gulf between the two. And there might be moments that we look at Heung-min Son and we get frustrated. We do get frustrated with Son, and a lot of Spurs fans are asking the question: is he done? Is that it? Because that question is asked.
Yeah.
It does the rounds amongst Spurs fans, but it's a little reminders like that when you've had Timo Werner in, and then you see the immediate impact that Heung-min Son can give you.
Yeah.
Just in his first game match, and that little step over there, the gift that he's got is he's 2-footed. What do you do as a defender there?
You don't.
You haven't got a clue where he's going. Is he going to take it on his left? Is he going to take it on his right?
How many times is he going to do a scissors?
And to do the step over while travelling at that speed with a ball is high level for me, high class, and there's a good finish.
That was a great finish. And then, you know, I've got to talk about the red card situation with Kudos. A player I've admired.
Head's gone. Big head's gone.
A massive head's gone moment, wasn't it? So he's having a bit of a tussle with Mickey van der Ven. Where's he from?
From the Netherlands.
Where have I been?
Yeah, did you find him? I thought he was looking for Mickey
I was in
van der Ven.
Amsterdam. I kid you not. So you go to the passport control. And they're like, hello there. You're like, hello there. And then they're like, why are you here? I'm like, everyone's like, business, ADE. Do you know what I said? to find Mickey van der Ven. And he laughed his head off. Because why do you want him? Because I love him and I support Tottenham.
Absolutely.
He's like, okay, come through. You won't find him here. He's in Tottenham. So, and then I spoke to another guy at security when I was leaving. And he goes, is everything okay? I said, yeah, apart from my football team. He's like, I just report. I said, Spurs. And he's like, I was talking. I said, who are you? He went, Ajax. I went, Lucas Moura? And then I said to him, what do you make of Ten Hag? He was like, Glowshek. Which is Dutch for a not nice word. Anyway, so, Mickey van der Ven has a little tussle with Kudus. They go down. Kudus very dirty. Head gone, starts kicking him.
I can't believe it. Like, it was almost like, first of all, he boots him in the floor 3 times.
Unnecessary.
And then Van der Ven just sort of says, what are you doing? And then
He's asked him, what are you doing?
Whacks him in the head.
He literally goes, are you stupid?
Unbelievable. Very, very talented player, Kudus.
Yeah. And then,
I'm thinking a bit West
then he
Ham.
puts his hands in the face of Van der Ven.
You know what I found so funny in that
Richarlison.
thing? And we're going to talk about
There he
this
is.
little man here, Richarlison. Because what does he do? He comes over, doesn't he? He comes over, Madge, right, to get involved. He gets whacked, doesn't he? He gets whacked. Richarlison, I tell you what. How long this guy will remain on this table is another question. But what?
He goes to get involved and literally gets backwards headbutt.
Unbelievable.
And he goes, and he probably was hurt.
He's done the face, though, hasn't he? That.
Yeah, but he probably was
Looking for
hurt.
it. He's looking for something, but he probably didn't realise what had happened to him. He probably did genuinely think he got whacked. But the replay's back. I was cracking up at home,
It
man.
reminded me of you in the glory days if we had a tear up outside somewhere. It's just like, Gaz is in.
Yeah, exactly, mate. It was just hilarious, man. I found that so funny. Then it went on. Kudus. He starts whacking. He whacks hard then,
So
doesn't he?
I don't know if you've ever seen the advert of like I think it's Foster's. They're in a barbecue and the guy just slaps everyone at the barbecue. They're like, "You can't do that, Derek." Slap.
Oh, I've seen that. It's so funny.
That was Kudos.
Oh.
Everyone goes, "What are you doing?" Slap. Slap.
That was Derek.
He done it. That was absolutely him.
Oh, hilarious, mate.
But yeah, to win 4-1, it was brilliant. It was needed. It brings, in terms of the pressure. And of course, speaking of London, it's a London thing because this weekend it was the only team in London to get the result.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. And
Chelsea against Liverpool, they lost. Arsenal lost. Palace lost. West Ham lost. Fulham, did they lose?
not too sure, but you look at them teams. You look at a team that we're going to get onto. We're speaking about probably the end there. Palace there, Madge, not won a football game.
Oh yeah, well, we're going to be talking about them later.
You know what I mean? You look at just there, Heung-min Son, 250 goal contributions now for Spurs.
Oh yeah, Fulham lost 3-1 to Villa, didn't they?
Yeah, 250 goal contributions for Spurs for Heung-min Son. It's a big number.
And you know what? You cannot underestimate how difficult that's been as being like an Asian football player in the Premier League. You know,
Mate, do you know when you look at the ground? It's funny because I come past the Spurs training ground the other day, around about 3-4 o'clock. They was obviously waiting for players to come out. Like, it's just all Koreans.
Yeah, mate, he's a god.
I'll tell you one thing. Like, I know it's obviously splits opinion and people get the ump. We've had this chat on the podcast before about people over there. I've got no problem with it. You keep turning up. They've all bought their shirts. They've all got shirts.
Why do you think
How can that be a problem at Spurs?
Why do you think we bought the young lad?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see him.
Yeah, I tell you what, if he is a quarter as good as Heung-min Son, we'd have found a player.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, to good weekend in general. Arsenal lose, we beat West Ham, and we've got more football to look forward to. I just want to say a few shout outs to the people that are watching us on YouTube and join us for our very first Out of the Blue show as well. We didn't know he was going to go live on YouTube just so quick, but we thought, you know what, let's give it. George Studley says Richie is a Ishhouse, but he's our Ishhouse. I love that. Tom said enjoying the format, was wondering where the new pod was and ended up finding you on here. Good. Dan Skinner said thoughts on Kulu's interview post-match. I love his self-critique. It's a great question, Dan. He was very self-critical of like the way that we played and losses, but that's because he's got a winning mentality.
Demanding a lot from himself, Madge.
Absolutely.
Like, I love to see that modern day footballers. You know what I mean? There's too many footballers, I think, that make excuses. Somebody else is always the problem. Do you know what I mean? And he's had to look at himself and go, what can I do to turn it around for me? Because he's had to turn it around for himself, and he has done that. So long may that continue.
And Wilson says, yes, chaps, good to see your mugs in the show and your faces. Come on, you Spurs.
Like the Spurs, come on.
Guys, thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget, if you haven't pressed the subscribe button already, Please press subscribe. Join us on this YouTube journey. It starts here. You're part of history tonight. This is the first live Majestic and Gaz SOS Same Old Spurs. Keep getting involved as well at Same Old Spurs Pod on the socials. It's Maz. It's Maj?
Maz, I like Maz.
Maj, it's Maj.
Maz and
I'm feeling Dutch. It's Maj, it's Gaz. Round the corner, we're going to be talking all things European football.
The Same Old Spurs podcast with Majestic and Gazza.
That's right, this is the Same Old Spurs podcast, and I've got to say a huge thank you to the guys behind the camera right now, Louis and Jeannie.
Shout out to Jeannie, the genius, Louis. Arsenal, but we won't talk about that.
We won't talk too much about Arsenal, but listen, we've been threatening, as I said, for ages to get this together on the YouTube. That's where the world is now. It's on YouTube. It's in visual format, so we've had to up the levels and do that. And I think after 4 or 5 seasons now, we're ready to take the plunge and invest heavily into the SOS HQ. Which
you just look back there, and you're talking about a couple of moments there. Like, you know, you have your big moment. I still have sleepless nights about this one. There in the centre there, like, had the big free kick moment.
Yeah, we got to play at the Spurs Stadium a couple of years ago for Nike, and Gaz had a free kick. Yeah,
Chris Cowlin made the save. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with who Chris Cowlin is on this show, but he pulled the save out. I thought the performance levels for myself was absolutely terrible.
Right, should we talk about something not terrible? Yeah. European football at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium returns this Thursday. Gaz, I know you got your notes, the rundown. It's who are we playing this week? For those that don't know,
I'll tell you what, we got a team from the
Netherlands.
Yeah, mate, that's refreshing, isn't it? Yeah.
Which part of the Netherlands?
AZ Alkmaar is the team that we've got. By the way, you know, it's the first time we've ever played them.
Really?
Yeah.
Ever?
How about that one? First time we've ever played them. No fresh injury concerns. Look, a bit of team news here, Madge. No fresh injury concerns from the weekend for Spurs. AZ's most notable player who missed the trip to North London is former Southampton midfielder Jordi Clasie. You remember him? Otherwise, the Dutch side are at near full strength, and a return for Troy Parrott never quite worked out for Spurs, didn't it? One of our own, again, a player you're hoping it was always going to do a little bit. Ended up getting a good return for him, money-wise.
Yeah.
So he'll be leading the line for them on Thursday.
Well, Stephen Reeve, who's joining us live on YouTube right now, has a great question here. What changes would you make to the starting 11 for Thursday night, guys?
Interesting, because I think we've got out the gate fantastic in this competition. We're sitting third, and I think you got to look, subtle changes. I think, like we've always said that, like within this Europa League, you've either got to keep Romero or Van der Ven at the heart of the defence. It's important. It's an opportunity for some game time. I thought Archie Gray done all right when he come on at the weekend.
I thought he did, good feet.
Yeah, he did. He had a little moment there, didn't he? So I'm sure there'll be changes. But yeah, just the correct ones, mate. Not but you have to make them, because we've got a game on Sunday. The game's, and then we've got a game on Wednesday. Carabao Cup game. Every game is as important as the next. Yeah. So it's going to be a job for the manager. But look, we're playing Alkmaar.
Do you think someone like Benny Davies gets the call?
I think he has to. Yeah, he'll play.
He's got the experience. He knows what he's doing.
I think Jed Spencer's picked up a little nod anyway, but he's not in the Europa League squad. So
even though he's been given a new
again,
contract.
you'll be interesting to see who he uses down on that left-hand side. But we have got a lot of young players at Spurs. Yeah, who you'd like to think you can ask a little bit of.
Well, this is the game, and I'm sure those that are watching on YouTube would agree in the comments. Let's see what they say in the comments in a moment's time. I am desperate to see Mikey Moore. Definitely. I don't want to see Timo Werner. We know what he's about. We know what he can do. Even I saw a stat. He picked up a 37 miles an hour run or something. He cannot finish to save his life. I don't know what's happened. He needs confidence. Maybe you go again with him and back him so he can get a goal, but it's not coming. That kid, Mikey Moore, is special. And that European stage, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on a Thursday night, is set for him to show up.
Good little tournament, good level for him to play at, you know, especially with the teams that we've been up against early doors in the competition match. Do you know what I mean? For me, there's no real risk.
No.
The manager will play him, and I wouldn't be surprised you saw Lancashire at the top end as well.
What? No. I think Richie comes in. You've got to give Richie the game time, innit?
Yes. Good shout. Yeah.
So I think if we're going to look at in terms of a starting team, you stick with Vicario, don't change him. I know Forster's there, but
no. You got to go with the Vicario. You've got to play every game. You're a goalkeeper, you know what I mean? You've got to play every game.
I think we're going to go. I think he stays with a Dougie.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many options.
No. Benny Davies.
Again, yeah, I'd say, you know what the thing is though, like you could.
But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if he just stays with the normal.
Yeah. You'd expect Dragusin, is he?
Yeah, drags in.
Yeah. So you'd expect him.
It could be Dragusin. Oh, no, but he got a red card, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think he's available now. Is it one game or two?
Not sure.
Have to clear that up. Do better. We should know that.
Do better. We should do our research before doing
the show. But yeah, I think there's going to be some interesting calls to be made at centre half. As I said, I like to see one of Romero or Van der Ven there. He's limited with his left back options.
Yeah.
Really, really is. Like, I don't like seeing Ben Davies used out there.
No.
Because I think that was a throwback position for him.
Yeah,
but he's been more used as a centre half.
He's
of
much
late.
better as a centre half.
Into midfield, you got people that Bentancur didn't play at the weekend.
Yeah.
Be chomping at the bit to play a bit of football. Sarr was introduced.
The Lucas.
Yeah. You got. There's so many people there that'll be looking to play a game. And as I said, we're playing AZ Alkmaar at home.
I think this is a game built for Richarlison to come in and score a couple of goals and get back into the Tottenham Hotspur, consciousness, because he's been away for a while. Dan Skinner said he'd start all the new signings 39 minutes in. I don't know about that. I think if you change everything too quickly, I think that's where the problems occur. I've got to say, massive shout to our mate Hacks.
Yeah, Hacks.
Man like Hacks is watching.
What a funny man.
I do think, I think when you make the changes, you've got to keep the core. Now, someone who's very good at doing that, and they're actually playing tonight, we'll have to keep an eye on what their score is Aston Villa, is Emery. I think he controls his team between Europe and the league very well. I think if you do 8 changes in a game, you're going to lose the fluidity of what that team's about. So, personally for me, like I said, Richie to come in, a Mikey Moore, and, drag probably.
Yeah, do you know what I think is interesting, Madge, is the competition that we're in and the teams that we're coming up against early in the competition, because I have no doubts if we're in the Champions League, the manager's picking a strong team on a Wednesday or a Tuesday and the same team on a Saturday. So that is obviously, I think that's quite relevant. And when you talk about Aston Villa, they have got that situation at the minute where you're playing Bayern Munich on a Tuesday, Wednesday night, and then you've got a big game at the weekend. They're probably in a place now, Aston Villa, that we have been used to being in, i.e. they're still in that top 4, and doing a little bit in the Champions League as well. Do you remember we was once there doing a bit? So you have to give Aston Villa a lot of praise, and the manager there.
But the manager's done that since his time in Spain, and that's why
brilliant.
he's so successful in Europe. And to be successful in Europe, you have to be able to manage your squad very well. And I think that's what hopefully we can see Ange do on Thursday. It'll be interesting to see. As I said, for me, one of the key players is going to be Richarlison. Get him in, get him back fit, make that competition up front a thing.
Yeah, I think we got more than enough to beat Alkmaar at the weekend. And as I
Where
said,
did you say they was in the Dutch League 5th?
Yeah, they're 5th in the Dutch League. They've lost their last 3 games, Madge. So not coming into it with a great bit of form. They've won once and lost once so far in the Europa League. They sit in 18th place. As I said, Spurs 3rd in the table. Lazio currently sitting top of the Europa League in this new format. So, very, very interesting. Fully expect Spurs to come out triumphant on the night match.
George Studley said more needs to play. So many young English players are moving away from their clubs, so I'm worrying. 3 or 4 changes max. Bentancur to start also, I agree with that. Hack said he wouldn't mind seeing Bergwall get a start.
Yeah, Bergwall.
And Wilson as well says Graham Bergwall in for me. So I think we're all on the same page.
Definitely.
Of the players that we'd like to see in. Probably, like you said, 4 changes max. So for me, a Bergwall, a Moore, a Gray, a Richarlison.
Be lovely to see Spurs as well win that game. That's 3 games.
Yeah.
Started off the competition in really, really good
I'd
form.
like to not have to play Son.
Yeah, look, I think Spurs have been guilty too much in the past of always having to turn to that Calvary.
Yeah.
Haven't we?
We've
had
said
to
it
do
loads
it
of times.
numerous times. We've said it on this podcast when you've had to do it for Harry Kane, and do you know what I mean? We've seen it like at times recently, and like you're trying to
I guarantee you, we'll be sitting here Thursday night in the Tottenham Stadium.
Get Sonny on,
and Timo Werner will be starting. No, Timo will be starting.
Yeah, look, I think he's got an interesting thing that it's interesting about. He's got a problem with Timo Werner, Madge, because you look at it, the situation there. Like Spurs have committed to the deal, whether you like it or not. He's on a lot of money per week, per month, whatever way they get paid, right?
He's a big name player.
He's a big name player. No real commitment because obviously there's nothing that we have to do or extend permanently beyond this loan deal at the end of this season. But he's so shot shy of any confidence in the minute match.
No, it's not good, is it?
So what do? Do you sling him in the fire and not play him at all? Or do you try and play him in games to try and churn a different a different outcome from the player? So it's a situation that Ange is going to have to manage accordingly. But I do think he's give the lad a lot of chances. He's played him like in games where you're thinking, come on, and he come on at the weekend there, and he's just everything, all the basics to his game is miles off. He can run, there's no doubt about that. But all the trimmings, not for me.
Absolutely. So, Thursday night, was it 8 o'clock kickoff?
Yeah.
Got yourself a ticket, you there?
I will be in the ground, hopefully, so one way, shape or form. Not got my ticket yet, but look, there's.
I think the last time they did like a decent deal.
Yeah, I think they'll probably be. Yeah, there'll be family packages.
Good news for me.
Go on, mate.
Is Leo's got an inset day the next day, so he can have
Lovely. It's good.
nice European night.
I tell you what,
we saw him last time.
he was causing riots last time in the last Europa League game in the crowd, wasn't he?
I went for the box again, didn't I?
Yeah. Oh, did you?
Yeah. Unfortunately, his partner's in there.
Ah,
No bringing for us this week.
the elbow for the partner.
Well, I was hoping. Well, you come as well.
But look, mate, we've got big games coming up, match.
Huge games.
Palace on the weekend, Sunday too.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a moment's time. But if you are watching us on YouTube, thank you, welcome. If you're listening to us on audio and you're like, oh my God, those two bald guys who are gorgeous are now in vision. I'd like to go and watch them. You can. Go to our YouTube channel, subscribe. It's Same Old Spurs. We're going to finish off the show in a moment's time talking about Crystal Palace. Don't forget, follow us on the socials at Same Old Spurs Pod. It's Madge, it's Gaz, it's SOS. Welcome to the final part of tonight's show. It's Majestic Gazza. We're here in the new SOS HQ. And we've got our rubber ducky who is ready to be Spursy at all times. So that means...
What do we do? Do we keep the duck on if we win?
The duck's our lucky charm.
I think so, yeah.
We like the ducky.
That duck will probably be gone in a week.
So listen, I know that sometimes you get frustrated with us guys because you're like, oh, where's the pod? You know, especially with my schedule, it's very difficult sometimes to deliver. But we're hoping with the new YouTube's look, we'll try and get a weekly night in where we go, here's the podcast. We're going to do it on this particular night. So that will be fun. So make sure you subscribe so you can be updated. And not just subscribe, put the notifications on so you know when we're here. As I said before, we couldn't do it without you guys, so we thank you very much. Last night, I was at David Lloyd's gym having a workout.
High-class gym, look.
Great gym, isn't it?
Top tier.
David Lloyd's Enfield. If you've not been there, make sure you go there. It's a gym that is fantastic for what I'm doing with the old Project 365, and the sauna and spa is absolutely fantastic, I must say. But I was watching Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, whilst I was working out, and Forest doing very well in the Premier League, I must say, with a former manager of ours, Nuno Espirito Santos. But Crystal Palace in a bad place.
We liked their manager at one point of last year. Do you remember me and you having a chat?
Oh, yeah, we did.
And then we had a chat also about Palace with the players that they've got. Yeah. With Guehi at the back. New signing Chalobah coming in from Chelsea. Yeah. Eze. Yeah. Lost Elise in the summer, which is obviously a big
loss.
Yeah. But the players there, you know what I mean? They brought in Anderson from Fulham. And you're thinking, I tell you what, they're trying to build a little bit there, even though
they sold Anderson to Fulham.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. So you no, they didn't. They bought him in.
No, they sold Anderson to Fulham.
That way? Did it go that way?
Yeah, that's why they're in disarray. They sold their defender.
Fair enough then. Do better, Gaz. But what I'm trying to get is, you're looking at something there and you're looking at a project and you're thinking, that looks positive. Like, the manager seems to be playing a decent brand of football. Haven't won a football game this year.
The biggest thing that they did in the summer, like you said, was keeping Gay and Eze. That's huge. Yeah. You know, for whatever reason, Anderson went to Fulham. And, you know, that has ended up being like a big loss for them. So what it is with Palace is a strange one because they look good when they play, and they did hit the post a couple of times, and you know they were very much in the game. Yeah,
and they've got players that are capable, didn't they, Match?
Absolutely.
I mean, forward there can cause a little bit of havoc, but it's just not been going for him. And the clock's ticking for the manager there, no doubt about it. Big game on Sunday for him. Spurs at Selhurst Park. It's another massive football game for them.
Well, this is it. Like, as you said, you got the Thursday and the Sunday. Selhurst Park can be one of those grounds that we go to either nick a 1-0 or we batter them.
Yeah.
That's always the way. It's either we batter them or we nick a 1-0. They've not won a game in 8 games. Is this how we get Spursy and this becomes their first win?
It's tailor-made, isn't it? For
it feels like it's set up for it.
You know the chat that's going round is they'll beat Spurs on Sunday because that's what we do. We're better than everyone at doing it. Do you know what I mean? But I can't see that. I'd be amazed if Tottenham went to Selhurst Park and lost on Sunday. Look, there's no given. You got to reply yourself. Can they turn it round? Crystal Palace is not really our problem, much. We want Tottenham to do the biz. So let's hopefully that continues on Sunday.
What for Palace is going to be their biggest threat towards us?
I think Eze. Look, he's still a player that I still think I look at Tottenham at times when you're looking at maybe. Look, especially now, if you've seen the manager using 2 number 10s, I think that would probably suit Eze.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he'd have competition there with Kulusevski and Maddison, but 2 number 10s being used. You're looking at Timo Werner, who's been used out on the left-hand side. Could Eze have been returning a better shift out there? I absolutely do think he can. A player that's very, very capable. Got the goal he got against Chelsea already this season.
Yeah.
Top draw goal. But obviously he's been down. He's not been performing as well as he probably could do. And it'd be interesting because if he turns it on a little bit and turns the screw, he can cause a bit of damage, mate. But I think we've got the players to nullify him on Sunday.
They had such a great end to their season last year, absolutely hammering Manchester United at home. And, like Mateta looked unbelievable, scoring goals for fun. He's not doing that at the moment. They brought Nketiah in, obviously, to be a striker and score goals. That's not happening at the moment. It's going to click for Palace at some point, and I just don't know. I hope it's not on Sunday.
I'm not too sure, Match. I'm not too sure. No, because you see like a lot of players in the Premier League, strikers especially, who have a good little go on a good run of scoring goals. But it's the top players and the best players that can be consistently doing that.
Yeah,
a little flurry of goals is good for your club, but can you do it again? He's been asking, and that's obviously been the problem for Mateta up front for Crystal Palace. They keep losing football matches, and not winning them. The manager's going to end out of a job. That's football.
We say that. Look at Wolves.
Yeah, but you're looking at fine margins there again, and you're looking
at same Palace.
Yeah, you can be looking at that.
And they've both got a team that have got ability. It's just it's the
don't get it twisted. Well, that'll be the same for Gary O'Neill at Wolves.
Yeah.
Just because he's a manager, an English manager that's shown promise, and it looks as if he's got a bright future. It is paramount that clubs stay in the Premier League, mate.
Oh yeah.
You can't afford to fall out. And you know what I mean? 8 games in, 38 game season. You need to start winning football matches. So yeah, that'll be the question for Palace, whether they can do it or not. I don't think that they'll beat us on Sunday, mate.
I like this. The message is coming in saying about Gahey looks so different than in the Euros, but I'd still take him with Spurs though. And Dan Skinner says Nketiah was 3 inches away from scoring a worldie from outside the box. Yeah, Dan, that's what I was talking about. That shot was absolutely fantastic. And these are the fine margins that we're talking about, not just in football, but that game in particular. It was literally inches away.
But the matter of fact is, they didn't score and they didn't end up with the points. Because if you wanted to start talking and looking at it, saying,
then Spurs, we'd be top of the league.
If Tottenham didn't cave in against Leicester, would have taken their chances against Newcastle. Do you know what I mean, Match?
Absolutely.
You can be having the same sort of conversation. So.
I'll tell you what we're going to do for the last part of the show, because we've got about 9 minutes left, is we're going to take your questions. Any questions that you have for myself or Gazza, please write them in the chat right now, and the boys will send them over to me and we'll go through those questions. As I mentioned before, if you're listening to this podcast right now, please head over to our YouTube channel. It's Same Old Spurs. I'm sure if you just search that in the YouTube search, you'll be able to find that as well. But this is where we're going to be. This is where we're going to be growing the channel. This is where we're going to have some more exclusive updates and off the back of programs, some previews, etc. So we're going to be building a lot here on the SOS channel from the new HQ, which is, as I said, looks absolutely wonderful. Big shout out to Big Cole for getting the pictures on the wall.
He's done the biz there.
So yeah, if you do have a question, please write in the chat now. Answer Fran said Palace look like they're in trouble this season. Absolutely right. This is a great question. Stephen Rees said, who's getting sacked first? O'Neill, Ten Hag, Howe, or Big Shawnee D?
Do you know what? I look at Sean Dyche and the job he's doing at Everton now, and I just don't think that anyone could do a better job.
No, I agree.
Who's really going to go down there and
Scott said Ange.
Yeah, look, it's funny because it seems as if even still our manager is like a couple of losses on a run for people start talking negatively about.
Mate, there's a chap on the
it's football though.
What's that group I'm in? Yeah, there's a chap called Pete on there. Lovely guy, loves his football. Hates Ange. Hates him.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it. I looked at my phone today, he was still moaning. I was like, bro, we beat West Ham 4-1. Can we just have a week where we're like not moaning? I
think it's important that as fans that when you win a football game that you dine out on it. We've always said that. Like, if you're going to be a negative fan all the time, there's no point watching football.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But interesting question, that one, Madge. But I think that
out of that list, I think it's going to be.
I think if Palace lose at home on Sunday against Spurs, no winning 9.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're a quarter of the way through the season, Madge.
They might nick my pards off me.
Yeah.
Going back to Pardew. This is a great question from Ian Allen. What are your thoughts on Solanke?
I think that I think in terms of the formation and what Tottenham want and what they want from their main striker, not necessarily in front of goal, but off the ball as well.
Yeah.
He fits it. Mate. If he can add a few more goals along the way, because that's the questions you're asking. And I think he will. I really do. I've been impressed with him.
Well, this is it. Like you said, he works tirelessly for the team. And I think when you look at the build of what Tony was against Solanke, I think Tony is more of a flat track bully, a bully in the box when, it comes to set pieces, etc. Great with the penalties, etc. But I think Solanke is someone that will work for the team more.
First point of the press, mate. You know what I mean? You got to be at it. And I'd like to see what numbers he turns out at the end of a football match, because you don't stop running.
A message here from our very own Statman, Will Marriott, said, what was a successful season for Spurs in your opinion?
Great question, Statman. It's about time you pull one out of the bag now and then. But what I will say is, I think...
Well, can I mix that with DVV as well, who said, what is the minimum expectation you have for Spurs this season? So it's
great question. Do you know what, mate? It brings me on to a nice little thing here, if you don't mind, looking at the Premier League table match.
Oh, let's look at the table.
You look at the league table, and I think it takes shape already. Near enough.
Yeah.
Give or take a couple of spots, right? 8 games played, yeah? Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Villa, Brighton, Chelsea, Tottenham. Yeah? Manchester United, we haven't spoke about in that. You got West Ham played at the weekend. Can they turn around a few other teams?
Newcastle.
Might get Newcastle.
Forest in a minute.
You know what I mean? People looking at gate crash. So what would you see as successful? For me, I think top 6.
Top 6?
I think top
in
6,
the Premier League?
I think top 6 in the Premier League would be a good and realistic achievement for Spurs.
I think the way that we need to go, top 6 and win the Europa.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, go win that Europa because, one, you become a European champion again. So it's got the whole European champion thing to go on. Second of all, it's that spot into the Champions League. Don't worry about the top 4. Worry about getting a bit of silverware, right? And getting into the Champions League.
Do you know what I think's helped? Not Spurs, but the different the change around the different format of the Conference League now.
Yeah.
It's allowed more clout for the Europa League. It's given it a bit more clout. So do you know there was a point the Thursday nights it used to be seen upon as Europa League.
Wasn't it?
Crap. But now they've introduced that Conference League. And the Europa League, I think you get a lot more credit for that competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at some of the teams in there.
That's what I mean. You never used to.
You did when it was
used to a few years ago.
When it was the UEFA Cup.
Yeah, Thursday night football. Thursday night, you had to get all the songs, didn't you?
But even the UEFA, I think I swear my dad used to call it UEFA Cup.
Look, Carabao Cup match. You got next week, Man City coming to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You know what I mean? It's a hard fixture, but I fancy Tottenham. I know I've got my positive hat on here at the minute, but you're going to be wholesale changes there for Manchester City. And if you get through there, you're well in the mixer for that competition, aren't you?
Scott Thompson says you're allowed to bring one player back from the past. Who are you bringing
Gareth
back?
Gareth
Bale. Yeah. Straight away.
Come on, I'm not being funny.
Imagine
him on that right-hand side for Gareth Bale at the minute.
Gareth Bale in that last season for Spurs, in this team now.
Gareth Bale. And do you know what? I'm a big Harry Kane fan. Gareth, you know, it didn't even come into. It didn't even think about that. Gareth Bale.
He was so good.
When I saw him in that one at West Ham, you remember? Bang at the end, the goal against Sunderland.
Well,
that season,
unbelievable. Single-handedly himself, he won us most games. It was just incredible.
Mate, do you know, to watch the transition in the player, not just ability-wise, but physically as well. He went from a little kid, skinny with little big ears, to now being a hench, fast, unbelievably talented footballer. Great to see.
Dan Skinner would bring Van der Vaart.
Brilliant player. I loved him. I'll tell you one thing. If you ask this question, you got North London Derby coming up. You can bring one player back for that.
But you know what, with Van der Vaart, I'm going to be controversial here, right? With Van der Vaart is I think people look at his time at Spurs with rose-tinted glasses because we had him for 2 seasons. He'd only ever turn up for half a season.
It's a big half, though. It's a big half.
A big half. What he contributed in that half was incredible. But then because he was so good, when he was off the game, he was completely absent. So I just think sometimes people they revere Van der Vaart in such a way. I think all the Arsenal moments and that.
Could you imagine an informed Gareth Bale, like unbelievable Gareth Bale on the right hand side, in this current Spurs setup with Son on the left?
We had it. With Kane in the middle.
Yeah, I know, but we had a pragmatic manager in Jose Mourinho.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? It's just unfortunate.
So Spursy.
And do you know what it
You
is?
bring Gareth Bale back when
And
you've got Jose.
also, with no fans in the crowd.
Oh, that was the killer. Do
Unbelievable.
you remember we went and to try to find Gareth Bale?
We did, yeah.
I think it was actually on our YouTube channel.
It
I was
is,
trying to
yeah.
find Gareth Bale. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight. If you haven't already, I know I said it a few times, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're sat there watching right now, just press subscribe. It's easy. We're going to be building this channel over the next few months and the next few seasons as well, with plenty of exclusives and interviews, etc., and updates. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, guys. Good to be back. If you are listening to us on audio, don't forget, we're in vision now. You can come and watch us. So go over to YouTube and subscribe to this channel. It is Same Old Spurs on YouTube. It's very easy, guys. Ready for Thursday?
Can't wait.
It's going to be big. Score prediction?
I think Tottenham will get the job done there. 3-1. We're always good for letting in a goal, aren't we?
Yeah, 3-1.
Yeah.
3-1. Okay, cool. Right, we're going to reconvene. Hopefully be back with you sooner rather than later. But from Madge, Gaz and the team here in the SOH HQ, have a wonderful evening and we'll see you next time. Same Old Spurs.
The Same Old Spurs podcast with Majestic and Gazza.
Same passion.